Hello, Covenant Church. My name is Ransom Kent. I'm one of the pastors here. I'm here with Andrea Diener today, and this is our next installment of our launch video series. And so we're going to talk about today, I'm going to give you a little insider information on this new vision we've been working on. One of the main aspects of the vision is called gospel restoration. This is a phrase, gospel restoration. So what is gospel restoration? Well, gospel restoration is the concept that in each and every one of us, there is some form, some level of brokenness. We are broken people, and the only thing that can meet those needs is an encounter with the gospel of Jesus. And so gospel restoration really encapsulates the idea that we want to be about not just meeting people's physical needs, not just sharing the gospel, but having those two kinds of things come together. We want to see whole life change through the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so one of the ways that we believe there's a kind of an incarnation of this idea is through the group that Andrea Diener started. How long ago was it?
In June.
In June, the sexual abuse group. And so this is a really tangible way that we're seeing gospel restoration take place at Covenant. So I've got Andrea here today. I'm going to ask her some questions, and I want her just to kind of share how that's going. So thanks, Andrea, for being here. The first question we have, that I have for you, you've mentioned to me and the staff that this has been a difficult yet freeing process for you. So I'd like you to share with the folks maybe a little bit of both of those things. How has this been difficult? How has this been freeing?
Probably the most difficult part is me just being able to wrestle with whether or not I could feel free to be obedient to what God was calling me to do. I felt very convicted back in October to be willing to share my story and not be afraid of what people might think of me. That tends to be what happens, is we want to keep it a secret because there's such shame associated with it. Mm-hmm. So for me, just being willing to do that was a huge step. I remember the first time when I shared it with just the leadership team, I felt a little bit of freedom in sharing with all of you, but it wasn't until I shared with the congregation, and that day there was such a sense of relief, like immense emotion, but in a positive way, like a weight had been lifted. I no longer felt like I had to live with a secret. So there was true freedom there.
That's really cool. And what's been, you mentioned some of the difficulties. Has that continued past the sharing of your story? For instance, how's the group going?
The group has been wonderful. The very first week that we met, I remember I've not felt this sense of being exactly where God has called me to be before. So when I left the group that first night, it was as though I felt like I could just drop to the ground worshiping God. It felt that good. Like this is exactly what people need to be doing, is being safe and feeling safe with their brokenness. The challenges are every week. The enemy is real, and what I find is it's a struggle. There's things that happen throughout the day that cause me to feel defeated or discouraged, and I think the same thing happens with these women. So one of the neat things that has happened is there have been a few women in our congregation that have asked, how can I be praying for this group? And so they'll text me sometimes during the week. They'll ask for specific prayer requests, like what are you studying this week and what could I be praying about? And so having that prayer support has been huge. The challenges are that some people think they're ready to do this and they start going through the process. Having to retell your story can be hard, that you're reliving that trauma. So for some people, they just can't continue. And so there have been some people that feel like, I need to step back, I'm not quite ready to do this. So that at times can feel a little discouraging, but we're trusting God's timing in all of it.
Absolutely. And when I hear you talking about that, I think, this is a group that has really heavy content. Like, it's not an easy subject, it's not a comfortable subject. But even the things you're saying about how the challenges that come with sharing that level of brokenness, I think we all have that struggle with any kind of brokenness. And so it's a great way, you just mentioned it, but let's be praying for this group. It can't be easy, but also let's be praying for ourselves that we be willing to step in to this kind of gospel restoration culture. It's not going to be easy, right? But, I know that as I think about gospel restoration at Covenant, I get excited about the possibility, not just of more groups like this, which I think will be great, but just the ramifications for our people, the people in this community, and having that safe place. If Covenant's a safe place to share in our hurts and our pain and our brokenness, the gospel can make a real difference. And so I'd like to hear your vision for the future, whether that's Covenant Church or even just this group, but what do you see as the great ending goal of all this?
Well, first, let me start with saying there's something that happens when you're in a group with people that have shared a similar experience. There is a sense of community, a sense of what I'm experiencing, you're also experiencing, and so there's a bond that happens there. It's a little bit different than a regular small group, obviously, but I know Paxton in his recovery group has felt the same way, that there's something about people coming together and sharing that similar experience. They're no longer feeling like they're doing life alone. My hope would be that we would be able to continue more groups like this. I know we have a recovery group for those who are struggling with addictions that meets on Tuesday nights. Our group meets on Tuesday nights, and I'm going to continue to do these throughout the year. Currently, I'll be starting a new one in September. We'll go through the fall, and then we'll have another one in January with the idea that we could start more. As part of the healing, really, as these women go through that journey, the idea is that they're experiencing some sense of redemption and being able to see how God might use them. Already I'm hearing women say, I'm meeting with somebody else who has had a similar experience, and just being able to talk to that person. So they're seeing already individually that they can come alongside other women and feel safe sharing and speaking to each other, encouraging one another. So ideally, that would be what I would like to be able to see, is continue to have women go through this process.
It's really great to know that this is going to just be an ongoing thing. You mentioned the other day that we're even getting some people from outside the church asking if they can join the group.
Yeah, somebody found the web page that talked about the group and emailed me and asked if it was open to people outside of our church. So I think that's a great opportunity to be able to reach into our community, to be able to, offer healing to those within our community.
And what I love about it is not just a sharing group where we just talk about our problems, but it's a pointed time of bringing people to the cross and allowing the work that Christ did there to be that healing agent. I just think it's incredible.
Definitely.
Andrea, thanks for sharing. Covenant, I'm excited about gospel restoration. I'm excited to see what's happening in just this one specified example. But recovery groups, things like that, please be praying for all the things going on as we reach to our community. Palm Bay and Melbourne are hurting. They're hurting, and they're full of hurting people and families. And so as we develop these programs and offer them to our, and these relationships, as we offer them to our community, I believe that we're going to be seeing just a great change. And so in closing, just keep praying for the launch, the CCS and Covenant Church, as we both move towards independence. And thank you so much for your investment in our church, and we'll talk to you next time.